Hey, welcome back, guys. Now that Snowfall's explosive fourth season and Power Book 2's debut season have wrapped, it's time to play the what if game. The two crime dramas are often compared when the debate of what's the better series enters the chat. But what about their respective protagonists? In this video, we'll be matching up Big Saint against Ghost Jr. and decide just who is the best hustler. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. Lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power and Snowfall. Here we go. Any fair debate of this caliber starts with an attribute comparison. We'll begin with their respective hustler ambitions, the starting point of all criminal endeavors. Franklin Saint was mentored in the game by his aunt and uncle respectively. We witnessed Jerome, though not a rich man, living on his own terms with his queen. Additionally, as his mother Sissy pointed out, Franklin saw the limited opportunities that legitimacy offered and refuted that subpar lifestyle as a result. In the case of Tariq, he was literally born into a situation where illegality was the norm, yet thoroughly hidden so as not to hinder his personal and academic progression. However, as we well know, Tariq was turned out to the game by his father's mentor turned nemesis, Tariq St, and the two forged a friendship in the midst of their criminal relationship. Whereas Franklin's hustler impetus was struggle, Tariq's was mired in rebellion. He was a well-to-do kid, having access to luxuries that Franklin could only dream of. But those extravagances were never enough for the junior St. Patrick, especially as his resentment for the man behind them began to fester. Reek felt like in order to truly become a boss in his own right, he'd have to create his own stream of revenue and income outside of his forebears. This brings us to their experience in the game. From Snowfall's inception, we witnessed Franklin climb the ranks of the budding crack cocaine business with assistance from his aforementioned extended family, Avi, his initial maniacal connect, and most importantly, Teddy McDonald, aka Reed Thompson, who Franklin forged a relationship with through Avi and has maintained to date. By Snowfall's second season, Franklin was enterprising at an enhanced level, learning the pitfalls and losses that accompany a hustler's journey. And by season 3, Saint was a seasoned hustler with an empire in the making. He began outsourcing to lower-level dealers, becoming a boss in his own right, while his business continued to expand throughout Los Angeles. On the contrary, Tariq did not begin his journey with drug-dealing aspirations. Being younger than Saint by 5+ years, Tariq was merely a child, unaware of the dangers to come. His experience in the game began through Tariq St, his mentor and conduit to a demonically fascinating world. Reek didn't begin his hustler leanings until the latter portion of Power Season 3, engaging in petty theft and then graduating to drug dealing in subsequent seasons. Though this was the case, it was his instincts that propelled him where his experience lacked. Kanan literally took a prospect under his wing and taught him the ins and outs of the drug trade. Honestly speaking, Tariq wouldn't build on this momentum until Power's final season, which found him drug dealing at school, failing mightily in his initial efforts. Kanan's death created a major roadblock in his underworld development that would remain until his mother decided to finish his street education, a decision forced by Tariq's persistent criminal activity that surely would have doomed him. We wouldn't see Tariq thrive at pushing weight until really his first solo outing in Book 2. In this regard, Saint has him 3-1 for all my NBA playoff fans. However, a necessary evil that the game breeds is murder, the intentional removal of those deemed detrimental to a hustler's progression. Though a few years Franklin's junior, Tariq has him by a long shot in this regard. Reek caught his first body in the form of Ray Ray, a dirty cop and killer of his beloved sister Raina. The young St. Patrick hunted Ray Ray down and executed him in cold blood with no remorse. His next victim would come in the form of his hustler consigliere. Though not as direct as the aforementioned killer cop, Tariq betrayed his best friend, and the response to such treachery cost him his life by gunshot wounds courtesy of New York's finest. Tariq's third murder, and perhaps his most infamous, came in the form of the man that gave him life. Still a hotly contested, contentious death, that maddens even the most ardent power fanatic. This commentator included, Tariq killed the legendary Ghost Man due to the latter's threat to turn on his family in favor of politics. Reek, feeling like his hand was forced, took his father's life to evade the loss of his own via jail time, potentially anyway. And most recently, Tariq extinguished the life of Jabari Kelly Reynolds, his professor who got too close to his understudy's true life and dealings, forcing the latter to hit the murder button. Make no mistake, even from a young age, Reek has shown himself to be a seasoned killer who makes no bones about doing what must be done. Franklin, on the other hand, is much different in this realm. Unlike Tariq, for whom killing someone has gotten easier by the victim, Franklin's penchant for violence was much more measured and reserved, even fearful, dare I say. Historically, Franklin was uneasy about the permanent practice, opting for Leon to take the violent road whenever it needed to be traveled. Such was the case back in Season 1, when Franklin and Leon had to recover drugs lost in a robbery by the competition. Their hitman ultimately ended up hitting them, and Franklin was faced with a kill-or-be-killed conclusion, one that he left for Leon to execute. Franklin's first official kill, and arguably his most tragic, was an accidental one. St was forced to remove his best friend Kevin from the board due to his erratic nature and over-emotional behavior. These problems culminated in reckless abandon once Kevin lost family to the game. Unable to cope with such losses, Kevin made a series of moves that forced his best friend and leader's hand, and he was shot down. Though this was the case, Franklin's intent wasn't to kill him, and he remained shocked by the shooting and its effects. Franklin's second kill was a character-altering one. Like his first, this execution was accompanied by a forced hand. St killed Andre in his home in cold blood, following the rogue cop's insistence on pursuing his drug-dealing neighbor. Unlike Franklin's prior shooting, this one came with definiteness and purpose. He meant to kill Andre and was well aware of the ramifications, his own subsequent shooting notwithstanding, courtesy of Mel. This removal solidified Saint's growing understanding that violence and the drug game are forever intertwined, and he'd have to get over any lingering misgivings about the necessary practice. His third and most recent kill came in the form of his frenemy and business associate, Drew Manboy Miller. Manboy's angling against his old friend ultimately got the best of him, and Franklin discarded him and all of his associates in grand fashion, and without hesitation, might I add. The troublesome underboss attempted to infiltrate Saint's business in order to get an inroad to his plug. However, these efforts failed, and the slaying revealed Franklin's evolved, sinister approach to cutting out a cancer once it's revealed. Taking a life is major, and both characters' penchant to do what must be done brings us to their biggest moves. Franklin most recently expanded his drug operation to other cities in conjunction with LA, while still maintaining some form of legitimacy via real estate investment. Though his criminal endeavors have complicated this significantly, Tariq, on the other hand, has revolutionized the drug game on his Ivy League campus via the Course Correct app. The app literally gave him a network undetected and will seemingly remain so for the foreseeable future. The two hustlers at the crux of this expose are in situations as oppositional as their eras. Tariq did lose both his godfather and mother in Book 2's finale, but he has finally found a place in his new crime family, making the struggles to come at least compounded by support. Franklin, on the contrary, is more alone than ever before. Both his parents have departed, one might potentially be off the board. His aunt and uncle have decided to go their own way after handling business affairs in Franklin's absence, expanding said business, and riding with their nephew through the turmoil that was Season 4, and even his best friend Leon is having doubts and second thoughts about their peculiar business. With all of the aforementioned in mind, who do you think is the best hustler? Franklin's story seems to be concluding, while Tariq's is only beginning as we await the second season of Power's first spinoff. But even still, who you taking if we're developing a drug empire and scouting for that top-tier consultant? Be sure to drop me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you like today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are fans of Snowfall and Power, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.